Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Blu-ray Hunter. I'm the Blu-ray Hunter, Jonathan Moody, and I've got a little fun show for you guys. We're gonna do my top 10, uh, I guess movies that wait, how do I call it? I called it my top 10 favorite movies by my top 10 favorite directors. So we're gonna actually go through my top 10 directors first and include the top movie of it or whatever that I have. Now these are only movies I own, so there was one that I own and I couldn't find it, so I chose something else. So I'll get to that when I get to that. And actually it's the first one. The first one up. All right. So, speaking of which, this is a movie. So, this filmmaker is one of my favorite filmmakers of all time, and he's a director. Interestingly enough, I don't have any girl filmmakers, lady filmmakers that are on my top 10. It's not like I'm not being sexist. It just didn't happen. Like it's just not my top 10. I do like a lot of women directors, but this just didn't have it. So, all right. Anyway, um, so first up is Martin Scorsese with The King of Comedy. Originally, I had chose Goodfellas, but then I started thinking about it. I love Goodfellas, but like even in that, I would have picked like Mean Streets maybe better, like because it's more raw and real and everything. Goodfellas is a great movie, great movie. Casino is a great movie, fantastic film. But yeah, no, it's weirdly whatever. Um, so so King of Comedy. If you haven't seen that movie, it's Robert De Niro, and he plays this wannabe comedian who basically is trying to get on this like Tonight Show type show. And so if you ever seen The Joker, it's basically similar to that in that sense. And it was really weird because Robert De Niro played the Jerry Lewis part in Joker. And so I was watching that going, wait, this feels like the King of Comedy a little bit, except Joker, you know. But anyway, the King of Comedy, yeah, he was a really weird guy and really fucked up and kind of like from what I understood, he Robert De Niro had to put himself into this like crazy thing and had to take a break from working with Martin Scorsese because he kept putting him in these parts where he had to just basically be this really messed up character like Travis Bickle and what was his name in this? It was something weird. Something weird. Um Rupert Pupkin. Rupert Pupkin. That's right. Entourage used that as like on like Vince's like fake name. So it's kind of funny. King of Comedy is a classic. If you haven't seen King of Comedy, please do. It is really good. It'll really make you there's a scene with Jerry Lewis at a beach house. I'm not even gonna say any more than that. If you know, you know. It is one of the most intense and creepiest scenes I've seen ever. It's like it makes your skin crawl watching it. Um, when after you've watched it enough, it doesn't. But like the first time I watched it, I was like, I don't know if I like this. Like, I think I had to turn it off. It was that effective. It's a great scene. Robert De Niro does such a great job. So does Jerry Lewis. Those two together, just oh man, they were great. Together. So next, number 9 is The Princess Bride from Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner is, yeah, one of my favorite directors. He's done tons of great movies, like Stand By Me, Misery, this film. He acts, that's how he got started. He's done a lot of great movies, and he is The Princess Bride is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. So, this isn't these aren't by like this isn't my top 10 favorite movies necessarily. These are my top 10 favorite movies by my top 10 favorite directors. So the directors go first, not the movies. You know, this would probably be what was it, number one, two, three. It's like fourth on my list of you look back there, it's on my wall, Princess Bride. Just such a classic. And Criterion did a great job. A lot of people complain about the digibooks and and stuff. I love it. I think it looks really cool, like it's an actual book and stuff. So, looks like a book. I mean, it's not the actual book. That would have been cool if they actually had the book in here, but it's great. This has the 4K and Blu-ray, so I just love it. It's great. That King Comedy is obviously a Blu-ray. This is a 4K release of it, and it just looks and feels perfect. Number 8 is Wes Craven with Scream. So yeah, Wes Craven is up there. He's not up there in my top five, interestingly enough, but he's directed a lot of movies. I don't own a lot of them. Like, I don't even think I own People Under the Stairs. I need to start buying these movies that he's made. A lot of great ones. And a lot of ones I wasn't really that thrilled with. Like, I mean, the reason I put this up there is because Scream is like one of my favorite movies. And Wes Craven's directed like a few of my favorite like films. So I was like, okay, he's definitely up there. But he's not my favorite. Or whatever. He's not my top, even in my top five. Favorite filmmakers. He's in my top 10, but he's not in my top five. He's great. I haven't watched like he did like music from the heart, and he did a couple like that kind of stuff. But really, this is his horror was his bread and butter, and I'm so glad Kevin Williamson talked to Kevin Williamson's friend, who happened to be like the assistant to Wes Craven, convinced him. The assistant to Wes Craven is the woman who made was the Vampire Diaries. She did a fantastic job convincing Kevin or Wes Craven to work with Kevin and made Scream. And because of that, she got to be on sets and work and do all these amazing things with Kevin. And she ended up working her way up and end up co-creating the Vampire Diaries, which I think she was having a problem because like nobody wanted just her. Nobody knew who she was. Now they do. But everybody remembered who knew who Kevin was. So Kevin had to sign on and co-write, and all of a sudden now she's doing other stuff without him. So it's great. But Scream is the movie that got me back into horror. There was a time where I just wasn't watching any horror films, and Scream was the movie that got me back. So, um, I absolutely love that series. I'm a slasher fanatic. So, another horror film by a director who doesn't do a lot of horror films is Steven Spielberg with Jaws. Steven Spielberg, fantastic director. You would think he'd be on my top, five, but he's not. He's my what, seventh? Um, seventh. And you'll see why. I mean, there's some good competition here. But Steven Spielberg's great. I mean, E.T., Jurassic Park, in the Indiana Jones movies, up to Crystal Skull, which, you know, maybe I think that was just him phoning it in. I just saw Lincoln for the first time recently. I mean, he is such a fantastic director. He's been directing great stuff since forever, since he was a kid. Um, since he was a kid, he was directing movies. He directed like a feature-length film that we'll never see called Firelight. I'm so upset because he made it when he was in high school, and he won't show it to the public. So all we have is like clips or whatever of it online. But Jaws, man, this is the movie that like I could watch this as a kid and was allowed to. Only on like TV, right, where they take out all the good stuff. But I think they still left like the scene where the kid is all bloody and stuff, like getting dragged down. I think they still showed that on cable. If I'm not correct, or if I am correct. It was fantastic. This movie is just so great. If you haven't seen this film, please go check it out. Don't know why you haven't seen Jaws. If you haven't seen Jaws, like you might just be five and your parents just haven't introduced you to it, that would be the only explanation. If you're 10, you should have already seen Jaws by now. Your parents are doing a bad job if they're not letting you watch Jaws by 10. Because my parents let me watch RoboCop by by 7. So this was, I think, even by five because this is a PG movie, by the way. It's just scary because the idea of something that could actually fucking happen in a way. Like, I don't think the sharks really just hang around waiting, in that you know what I mean? Like it's not necessarily, but the idea that a shark could come close to land, close to the, thing and start eating people is understandable, especially when they show like it's like their feet dangling. It looks like some kind of seafood, And he's like, "Ooh, what's that? I'm gonna eat that," right? And that's the thing, like, it's so funny. Okay, here's a funny thing. So, so there's a lot of movies out there where if the animal dies, I almost don't even want to see it. I'm just so sad. Like, oh, why did the animal have to die? I never got upset when Jaws like got exploded. I was like, yeah. I don't know. I think it's because he was scary and he needed to not exist in that thing. Didn't matter because another one popped up in part two. Actually, I think two popped up in part two. And it got double the jaws in part two, and so I need all of them on 4K. By the way, I need part two, three, and four. I don't care. Four is so bad, but so fun. I would love it in 4K. But I have Jaws. I have E.T. I have a lot of the movies. Do I have Schindler's List on 4K? I don't think I do. I don't know if I ever would want Schindler's List on 4K. I saw that movie a few years ago for the first time, and because we had to do for the mainstream, we were doing Steven Spielberg movies, Joe Turk and I had to watch Schindler's List because I'd never seen it, and I was like, oh, this movie is just so painfully depressing. I get it. I get it. It's part of history, but it just was very painfully, sad. All right, moving on. Number six is John Carpenter with The Fog. Um, this movie, oh my God, absolutely adore this movie. This is my favorite. Everybody goes, oh, Halloween, and oh, you know, any of his other ones, Escape from New York, The Thing, right? This movie, man, is so freaking good. It is a ghost story that I just absolutely adore. It's atmospheric, it's scary, it's got a lot of cool stuff into it, and it's got pirates. It's a movie about pirates. It's not about pirates. You know what I mean? Like, it is so freaking cool. Ghost pirates. It is so much fun. This movie is classic. If you haven't seen this movie, get your butt out there and go see it. But yes, John Carpenter is one of my favorite directors. He's number six. He is phenomenal. Like, almost every movie of his is just hands down great up until like Escape from LA, maybe. After then it starts Escape from LA onward, it starts to kind of get where he's just like, I'm done, but I need to make money for rent. So let me make another movie. Um, Even John Carpenter's Vampires, I just could not I didn't think he did a great job as opposed to, movies like Halloween or movies like They Live or Prince of Darkness or like we're just sadly not going to get that again from him. And I've come to accept it. I have not come to accept the fact that he will endorse and put his name out on movies like the Halloween remake from 2018, which I liked the first one, 2018. I liked it. I didn't love it. I thought it was okay. It had some good moments and it had some stupid moments. Like I did not like the what's his name? The Loomis wannabe. Just hated that guy. I wanted him out of the picture. Literally, just get out of the picture. Go away. But the rest of it, I didn't hate. It just wasn't what I thought, was gonna be good. So, yeah, you win some, you lose some. But The Fog is a classic. Number five. Mm, 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 mm. The Shining with Stanley Kubrick. Now, Paul will kill me because that's his number one favorite director. And you would think, oh man, it should be number two or one or whatever as well. No. I like Stanley Kubrick. I like all his movies are fantastic. I'm not going to say anything bad about his movies. The Shining is a shining example of a fantastic horror film. Like this was his only horror film, like horror film. The rest had he delved into every genre that he could. He wasn't just sticking to one thing. He wasn't typecast or director typecast, whatever. He just did one. He did everything. He did, sci-fi. He did drama. He did everything. Futuristic, dystopian kind of stuff. Whatever with like Clockwork Orange. Things like that. He didn't stick to one thing, and I love that. I appreciate that of the guy. Um, and I appreciate this movie. I think this movie is fantastic, especially in 4K. This movie, if you haven't gotten it on 4K, buy it on 4K. It is really freaking good. It looks beautiful. It is just amazing. The sound is incredible. Everything is just pitch perfect. This is a great movie and a great director, Stanley Kubrick. All right, we're down to our next four. So this is the top five. So he's on the top five. He's number five. Number four, oh man, you're gonna kill me for having him be top five and this be my number four, but it's Kevin Smith with Mallrats. Uh, so first of all, this is the first movie of Kevin Smith's that I ever watched. I have this story that I sort of tell everybody, but I first discovered Kevin Smith when I was over at a friend's house. I was in high school, and I think was I in high school? I was either in high school or going into high school. And I was at one of my friends, he's like my best friend. And I went over to his house, and him and his mom were having this big argument about, I don't even remember what it was about. It made me feel very uncomfortable. So I walked over to his little brother, watching TV, and I said, "Hey, do you mind if I watch TV with you?" He said, "Sure." I said, so we started watching, and I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "Mallrats." And I said, "Oh, okay." And then I start watching it with him, and I was laughing my butt off so much. I was like, where's this been all my life? Right? It was in 96, so like it only had been out like a year, and everything. Kevin Smith was probably like, yeah, where has it been all your life? Because you didn't go to the theater and watch it, but I didn't really watch many R-rated movies in the theater at that age. Um, but anyway, I watched it, thought it was great. I went home and I rented it, and I rented Clerks because I found out Clerks was, in the world, and after then my world was changed. It helped me get into independent film because I never even knew that there was a thing called independent film. I didn't know you could go out and make your own movie. I just did not know that. I thought everything was Hollywood. You had to make a Hollywood movie, or or you didn't. So that movie led me to my favorite movie, which is Ed Wood, led me to all these different things going down this like independent rabbit hole. I was just like, I don't, I like this is just blows my mind that you can go and do this stuff. So Kevin Smith has always been a big part of my life. And I've met him a couple times. I've been to his uh Volgarthon film festival back in 2002. I've been a fan of his for a long time, and this movie is why. So I'll always put this up there, and I'll always put Kevin Smith as one of my favorite directors. He is not he'll even tell you he's not a director. Like he doesn't do the shot. Sometimes like if he gets a really good camera guy like Vilmos, I can't even Vilmos Z, who did Jersey Girl. Jersey Girl looks incredible, you know. You would not think that's a Kevin Smith movie, but it is. So he's done some good stuff. But yeah, here it is. So Mallrats. Fantastic film, and a lot of fun. And if you haven't seen it, keep saying that for every one of them. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. This is the Arrow 4K. It's got a lot of special features on it. Sadly, it does not have the Blu-ray. So you have to get the Blu-ray separately, and I was an idiot and sort of gave it away and I should have kept it. But I think I have another Mallrats copy, and I think it has all the different stuff. So I don't know. But yeah, here you go. So that's Mallrats is number 4. Number 3. This is one of my favorite directors. And I first discovered him when I no, I think this was that. I think this is the movie that I discovered him on because I had seen. All right, it's Cameron Crowe with Almost Famous, and I think I had seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High before this, like maybe, but I wasn't. This movie I was more of a fan of, you know, uh, and stuff. So this movie basically made me go, "Who is this Cameron Crowe guy?" So now I'd seen clips and bits of Jerry Maguire. I knew of it or whatever, but I didn't really watch it before. And then I watched it after this movie, and I'm like, this Cameron Crowe guy is incredible. And just by these two, Say Anything, Singles, um, A We Bought a Zoo, Vanilla Sky. I mean, Cameron Crowe is an incredible genius with filmmaking. Sadly, he's sort of fallen on a time where I'm just like, nah. Like I bought Aloha and it wasn't great, and I expected something better. I wasn't even a big fan of Elizabethtown. I felt like even that should have been better. Like there was a few movies that he had done semi lately that I just feel like he sort of blew his wad with this one and with Vanilla Sky. Those two movies are just incredible. And then after that, I think he just sort of like We Bought a Zoo was great, but it wasn't it wasn't like this to me. Like this is an incredible. And I think you know what? I think it's because I'll say it, I think it's because the two movies that I really love of his, which is this and Jerry Maguire, are both very personal stories. I think Singles was a very personal story. Say Anything was a personal story. Um, and I feel like Elizabethtown and Aloha were not personal to him. Vanilla Sky, I don't think was personal, but it was fun for him to do a remake. And I've seen both versions, and I like his version a lot better, honestly. Um, but this movie is incredible, and if it has, I think it's got the commentary. Um, there was a commentary. I know it had like it said it had like both the bootleg cut feature film, and it's got commentary by director Cameron Crowe, and I believe his mom was in that commentary track or something. It was incredible. Um, but yeah, so both films. The great thing about this is it's got the original and what they call the bootleg film in 4K. So both are in 4K. There's no Blu-ray of it, just 4K, which I'm fine with. You know, I don't need. You probably just saw the code. I don't know. You can have it. Whoever gets it first, because I do not care about those. But yeah. So there you go. So next, after Cameron Crowe's number 3, number 2 is Quentin Tarantino. Wow. Tarantino is one of my favorite directors. And this movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it does not, I don't think it gets enough praise. I really don't. I think people talk about Pulp Fiction, people talk about Reservoir Dogs, people talk about, I talk about True Romance. That's my favorite of his writing. My favorite of his directing is this. You know, he did not write, he did not, no, he did write, but he didn't direct True Romance, but he did write and direct this film and all the other ones. So other than Natural Born Killers, which we don't even need to get into. But this movie is incredible. It's really a lot of fun. It's something you can watch straight through. I love Django Unchained. I love Hateful Eight. I love Inglourious Bastards. But this movie blew me away. Kill Bill 1 and 2. This movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, blew me away. It just blew me away. And I absolutely love it. I love the actors, I love the cast, I love the crew. Tarantino is one of my favorite directors. I discovered him when well, first off, my parents were watching True Romance when I was a kid, and I was watching it for a while with them because they thought, they're with me, it'll be all right. And I got bored, by it. As a kid, I had a short, I've got a, sh I had, believe it or not, I had a shorter attention span as a kid than I do now. And I still have a very short attention span as an adult. So, yeah, it was just something where I was shocked that uh that he's directed so many great movies. So yeah, from True Romance to I heard about Pulp Fiction when I was a kid and all this stuff, but then I didn't watch it till I was older. And then I was like, I'm hooked from Dusk Till Dawn and all these different movies that he's been a part of. And this movie just is so much better than all of them, in my opinion. In my opinion. And you may be like, oh, you can't say that about Pulp Fiction. I can. I've seen Pulp Fiction many times, and this movie I like better. Just my personal taste. Reservoir Dogs, I've seen a billion times. That's an exaggeration, but I've seen it a lot of times, and it's not. I think this should have been his last film. This is number nine. This should have been number 10. He ruined his number 10 because now he's got to find something that just beats this. And I don't know if he will be able to. And I don't know. I hope so. I hope the next film is better than this. So, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So you're like, Jonathan, you've just given me nine films and nine different directors. All of them are really great directors. But who is your number one? Now, if you're close to me, you know the answer. You're very close to me, you know the answer. I made a whole show about this guy. Okay, now you know. Or if you don't know, here you go. My number one favorite filmmaker of all time is Alfred Hitchcock, and my favorite movie of his is Psycho. Sorry, that was upside down. Um, is Psycho. I absolutely love Psycho. Psycho is incredible. I remember I put off watching Psycho for the longest time when I was a kid because it was black and white and whatever. I just didn't have any interest in it. One day as an adult, I went to we used to have this theater. I don't know if we still do or not, but we had this theater in Colonial Williamsburg that would show older films and whatnot. And one day they were doing it. I think it was for October. I think it was close to Halloween, and they had Psycho. And I was like, you know what? I've never seen Psycho. I'll go see it. It'll be fun to see it with an audience. I went there. I was the only one there. And I was like, all right, I get the whole theater to myself and I can enjoy it. And I started watching it. And that movie just was incredible. Just the way he shot it, the way he um cool tricks that he did. My favorite being the fact that um for the longest time you think she's Janet Leigh is the main actor, and then he kills. Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen Psycho, go watch it right now. Stop this, go watch it. Um, yeah. She what is it? Janet Leigh dies in the shower. Now that's a very famous scene, but she dies in the shower. And then, so that's the first 45 minutes. And from what I've understood, like, he did that on purpose. Like, that's why he told everybody, like, if you are late, you can't come in. Like, once the show starts, you can't, you're done. You can't come back in because, you can't come in because you're gonna be ruined, with the whole thing. The whole idea is that, you know, you have to understand, like, all of a sudden it switches. And that was so cool. Like, how awesome is that? I don't know. It was a lot of fun. And it's just a great movie. Alfred Hitchcock was a genius. We do a show called Hooked on Hitchcock. Me and my buddy G, Larry Butler, do an awesome show on uh my channel, Indie Film Cafe. It's a podcast that we do, and it is so much fun. We're going through every single film by him, and it's weird, you know. to like look at all these and go, oh my God, how incredible his stuff is. So there you go. Psycho is my number one movie. I love this 4K. I think it's incredible. It's also got the Blu-ray in it, I believe, but the 4K is just so much better. If you haven't seen this movie, please check it out. And that's it. That's it. For That's it for the podcast or for the video of my top 10 film movies by my top 10 filmmakers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you guys think. Are there anybody on your list was there anybody that I listed that's on your list, or is there anybody that I didn't list? Which I mean there's a lot of them. I mean you can go to Brian De Palma, you can go to you know, I don't know. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There's just a ton of yeah, Paul would probably kill Guillermo del Toro. Um, I mean, so many great filmmakers out there, but this was my top 10 favorite films by my top 10 favorite filmmakers. So that I own. These are the movies I own and everything. I could show you. So thank you guys for checking this out. Join me. I guess next month is going to be another top 10. And I think it's going to be a Criterion because it's going to be Criterion month in November. So I think I'm going to do a top 10 Criterion films I own and kind of go through that. So hope you guys enjoyed this. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.